the next thing to push our limits and test ourselves. So we signed up as soon as we got invited.
Yeah, you signed up as soon as we got invited.
Hello, everyone. This is Hollywood Junket. My name is Craig Ries. And in case you didn't know, there's an amazing show on the USA Network right now called Race to Survive Alaska. And I'm lucky enough to have two of the contestants from that show with me right now to answer questions about what's been going on. We're about halfway through the season, and it's been exciting so far. So, Jeff, Hunter, welcome, and thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having us, and we're still alive somehow,
Yeah.
even through all this stuff, halfway through the season.
Spoiler.
So
I was gonna say, yeah, no spoilers.
yeah,
You're still alive. You survived.
yes.
Yeah, this is neat. I mean, immediately when I was watching it, I was like, this is basically Amazing Race meets Survivor, and I'm down, you know. So it's been very cool to watch, and I'm gonna jump right in case viewers and fans don't know, the prize money is $500,000, $500,000. So besides that, what were other motivations for doing the competition and pushing yourself forward during the show?
It's exactly what you just said. Of like, when we heard about this show and got invited to it, it was combining Survivor and Amazing Race together. That sounds like the perfect dream show and experience for us. So we were just hooked immediately. And we've been doing these crazy long adventure races for 15 years. So this was just the next step of like the next thing to push our limits and test ourselves. So we signed up as soon as we got invited.
Yeah, you signed up as soon as we got invited.
I had to convince him.
I was done. I was like, after my last 12-day adventure race, I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And then he comes to me. He's like, "Hey, Dad, there's this small little race in a remote part of the United States. Would you be interested in doing? How small? Like, 8 weeks. Really?" And now look what happened to me.
Yeah, 12 days to 40 days. Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Big difference.
Well, yeah. So Jeff, I mean, obviously the prize money is great motivation itself, but what did make you want to do this race besides the prize money?
Again, like Hunter said, it was kind of like I've done so much already, and this was larger than anything I've ever thought about doing. Yeah. I mean, I've hiked the AT for 8 weeks, it's no big deal, but this was something that it was like one more challenge. Let's go see if I still got it. Let's just try to push the limits again. Again, that's what we're always doing, is trying to push the limits even more and more. And that's what excited me about it. I didn't give it much thought. I pretty much, when Hunter invited me, I'm like, yeah, all right, cool. Let's go do it.
That's awesome. Well, out of the 6 races, which one was the toughest? And I guess if it hasn't aired yet, I don't know if you'll be able to say. So tell me what you can.
I think race leg 2 was one of the toughest because it was the most dangerous. As you saw, Akeem and Justice just got injured the last episode that released. And I'm surprised every single team didn't get injured. There was so much like dangerous terrain. Every single step you took, the ground would fall underneath you and you would fall down a few feet. And like, I'm surprised we didn't get impaled by branches or broken legs. It was so dangerous. So for any team just to make it through that race leg was incredible, no matter how fast you were going or whatever. So yeah, that was probably the toughest in a sense.
We were never touching the ground. The terra firma was like, a foot thick. You never were touching the physical earth. We're always floating on all this debris and stuff. And one of the dangerous parts about it was our map scale was really, really small. So we couldn't see all the dangers that were coming ahead. You had to physically see them. So when fog comes in or Hunter is going through thick bushes, he doesn't realize that there could be a 40-foot drop on the other side of those bushes. And so you had to move really, really carefully and cautiously through the entire time you were there. There was not one trail, road, we never put foot on anything like that. It was always an unmarked location. We were always traveling by our own.
Wow, man, this is making it sound, it's a lot harder than it looks.
It's a lot harder than it looks. Some of our teammates,
and I think we know that, but until you can experience it, but even that little like insight again just makes this such an incredible show. I don't let's see if how far I can go with this question. How much freedom do you have implementing strategies? And let me give you an example. In episode 3, most groups decided to go over the mountain, but you thought it'd be easier or better to go around. What's the limit on that freedom? Is there limits because of production? Can you give me any insight into that?
There really wasn't any limits outside of they wanted us to stay safe. They wanted us to be close to our safety guides and our cameramen. We wanted to move together as a group.
Right.
So outside of that, it was the wilderness. It was up to you. And one of the things that almost all the teams outside of maybe Oliver and Wilson and Brett Nestor, we were not used to Alaskan terrain. They were. They knew what they were kind of getting into. So the other teams, we were learning as we went along how to move through that as quickly as possible. What would be the best route? Sometimes the river is the best route. Sometimes a high point is the best route. Most of it was crap. Most all of it was crap, no matter what you did. So it was pretty much just your strategy was rolling the dice. I may have been wrong. I could have gone around the bottom and we could have been the last place team. We had no idea.
That's a lesson we learned from Alaska. There was no easy path. As much as we try to argue and try to think of, oh, hey, maybe this way's easier. There's nothing easy in Alaska. It's just, what tough do you want to do? Do you want to be bushwhacking through Devil's Club above your head and hidden your eyes? Or do you want to go through a creek that you could twist your ankle and fall? Or do you want to go straight up the mountain? There's so many options, but they're all really tough. And I think that's what we had to keep learning of. We kept looking for the easy option, but there was no easy option.
I'm sure at some point you stop kind of debating because you're like, well, any option is going to be tough, so let's just pick one.
I think that's the lesson we kept learning throughout this. You'll see in future episodes is like, we always wanted to try to find that option, but then we're like, well, let's just save time. Let's just commit to something and not keep trying to backtrack and find something easier. Just nope, put your head down, Hunter, just bushwhack for hours and don't even question it. It actually worked out. So
damn right, don't question it.
Yeah.
I'll always question it.
Was there any time during this show, this specific trip, that you gained a newfound respect for each other or maybe learned something new about each other? And if so, do you remember that moment?
Oh, I definitely do. There was several times that, again, the last time that Hunter and I raced was 2019. And again, I was the navigator as well then. And Hunter was only 18. I say only 18, but to me, he's still a kid. But he didn't really have any involvement in navigation during that race. But this particular show, this particular race, he was very instrumental in helping me focus because I was fatigued. I wasn't in my normal mindset, meaning that I didn't have the nutrients that I needed. I was weak a lot of the times because I just didn't have any food. And I made some, mistakes where Hunter was there to pick that up. And I learned that about Hunter there, that he's actually a really good navigator now. And of course, I wonder why, who was his teacher?
Exactly.
Got to get credit for that. I learned so much from my dad. Like going into this competition, I had a tough decision to make because I got invited on the show and it was like, hey, who's your teammate going to be?
You don't have to say it was a tough decision.
It's so easy to choose my dad over everybody else. That's it. But I had options to choose Olympic triathletes, like my teammates, top racers in the country, and I chose my dad. And a lot of people are like, why would you choose your retired dad that hasn't raced in 3 years? But I knew that like I could trust him above anybody else out there. Like 40 days in the woods with minimum food, how are people going to react? And I know my dad so well. I know when he gets cranky, I know how to deal with him. I know when I get cranky, he knows how to deal with me. So that type of trust, just like we really bonded over 40 days together. Like my dad and I are so close together. Like we've done so many races together, but being off the grid and only us two for 40 days together, just relying on each other, really just made our relationship even closer. So that was the best part about it.
That's awesome. I do want to ask a little bit about kind of competition and about other people on the show. I kind of think major competition was Oliver and Wilson and Max and Christian. I think there are times when y'all try to maybe be friendly with the other groups. Was that kind of a strategy? And then also back to Oliver and Wilson, they kind of kept to themselves. Do you think that was their strategy? And so I guess overall, my question is, was their strategy on top of it already being a very difficult race?
That's the most interesting thing about us as contestants watching the show back, is because in the moment, I wasn't really focusing on any strategies or team dynamics and alliances, nothing like that. But then it's like, because my whole focus during the race was, let's just race our own race. Let's just focus on ourselves, let's race as best we can. If we do really good, we don't have to worry about anybody else. They're gonna do their own thing. But now seeing how, like, oh man, Max actually said that behind our back about strategizing. Oh, Bell and Kaysen were doing that. It's like really interesting to see that there's so many dynamics that were in place that went right over our heads too. Where we were just focused on racing. Everybody else was kind of focused on just some strategy, because there was a lot of that, of like Oliver and Wilson went out off the bat so fast, though, that you saw in the first few episodes, and crushed it. So they had a target on the back. I was like, we have to beat them. And I think everybody's kind of like intimidated by them. But I was like having a great time. I went over there and hung out with them at their camp and ate dinner with them, like really got to know them. And I'm like, oh, they're humans. They're still beatable, which I like. There was all these dynamics that I didn't know about until the show came out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think strategy for me was just, again, Hunter and I were in our element. I mean, the racing legs that was us. The survival aspect kind of caught us off guard, but strategy, and I wanted to learn from other teams how to survive. Obviously, there was people there that had experience in surviving, and we had race experience. So they were kind of watching what we did, and we were kind of watching what they did, throughout the episode, because I didn't know how Hunter and I were going to get food, a substantial amount of food, being vegetarians. So it was a little bit, when it came down to strategy, Hunter and I just focused on our own race, because we knew that we gotta go at our speed, can't go any faster than our speed. We definitely don't want to get injured. I mean, me being the oldest one out there, I'm more receptive to injury than anybody else, probably because I can't bounce back as quickly. So we were really cautious about how fast we moved. And again, at this point in the show, all you have to do is not be last. You don't have to be first. It helps to be first, but it doesn't knock you out. So we just pretty much raced our own race and kept strategies to ourselves.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think I've said the word incredible about 10 times, but it really is. This whole concept of the show is amazing to me. I think what y'all are doing on there is very difficult, but very interesting. So thank you so much. I'm going to just wrap this up with kind of maybe more of a question for viewers and fans of the show. What would be your number one tip to anyone that's trying to survive the outdoors?
Be patient. That's it. Just be patient. Yeah. If it's crappy weather right now, be patient. It'll clear up. If there's no food right now, be patient. You'll find some. It's just about patience out there. And we had a lot of time to sit around and be patient.
Yeah. Patience is the best one. I think being able to adapt too. If something goes wrong, be able to adapt. Don't just sit down. Oh man, this sucks. I quit. Just like, no, you could just adapt and change your plan a little bit, no matter what happens, and you can make it through it. I think that's patience and being able to adapt.
I would assume that any trip rarely goes the way you planned, so I would think, yeah, adaptability would definitely be another trait too. Yeah. Well, guys, Jeff and Hunter, thank you again so much. I'm having a blast with this show. I can't wait to see what else happens, and really thank you for your time and your honest and awesome answers today. I really appreciate it.
You bet.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
Well, good luck, and I can't wait to see what happens, and maybe we'll get to talk to you soon.
Sure.
Yeah, enjoy the show.
Thank you so much, guys. Again, my name's Craig Ries. This is Hollywood Junket. Please like and subscribe to our channel, and hopefully we'll get more interviews soon. Have a good day.